Hello everybody, welcome. I heard recently of a woman in Bournemouth who was allocated a prisoner of war to do her garden for her. When he was repatriated in the autumn of 1945, when the war was over, he left on good terms with the woman who said she liked him. The next spring, when the crocuses began to emerge, the ones he'd planted in the autumn, she found that they spelt out in the lawn the words "Hail Hitler." He'd found a way of expressing his frustrations and his anger and his bitterness at being a prisoner of war in a way that actually was pretty harmless. He buried his frustrations with the bulbs in the lawn, knowing the pattern that would emerge when they grew. How do we deal with our anger and our disappointments and our resentments, those feelings which are often quite hard to deal with and unpleasant to feel? I think we do need to deal with them, and there are various ways we can just bring them to our own mind and reflecting on the reasons for them, and anything that can be learnt from them is one way. Telling somebody else about how we're feeling, telling God how we're feeling. Some people find it helpful to exercise those feelings away, or even to have a shower or a bath and kind of wash them off. But what's important, of course, is that we don't bury them, because then they fester, and then they can emerge in antisocial ways. They come out in barbed comments, which to us seem perfectly harmless, but to the person hearing them, they feel aggressive. Or actions which we barely think about, but sort of emerge from deep within us, but actually are antagonistic, harmful to other people, and the victims of those words and actions don't like it. And often they're not the people who were initially responsible for the frustrations and resentments that we're expressing. They may well be people who are close to us, because somehow it's easier to be relaxed and our bodies let out what's deep within us more comfortably when we're with people who we hope will go on loving us. I was thinking about Good Friday and Jesus before Pilate. And when Pilate asked the crowd what they wanted done with him, they shouted, as you know, "Crucify him, crucify him." And there's a lot of anger and resentment and bitterness in that shout. And some of it, no doubt, down to the fact that Jesus had let them down, maybe. They were expecting something more dramatic from him. But I think a lot of that sounds to me as though it was suppressed anger that had an excuse to emerge. Because here were people under Roman occupation, here were people for whom life was hard, it was a struggle, no doubt lots of anger and resentment and bitterness lying within the surface, deep within deep below the surface. And here was an opportunity for them to let rip, to let it out, and to let that anger emerge, as so often it needs to. And Jesus was the victim, the recipient of their deeply felt anger and bitterness. So today I'm going to try and be clear with myself about my feelings, not to bury them if I possibly can, because that's likely to lead to harmful words and actions. And so I'm going to try not to do what that crowd did do to Jesus, and express my anger to someone who really didn't deserve it.